Good morning. It's July 6, 2023. It's a Thursday, and welcome to your program, Agenda, here on Cignal TV, One News, and of course, thank you for being Cignal TV subscribers, viewers of One News on channels 8 and 250, and to those of you who watch us via Facebook and on YouTube, maraming salamat po. Thank you to PLDT for their home fiber optic internet, which allows us to broadcast in different places in the Philippines. Today, we are here in Barrio Capitolio, Pasig City, and it is nice, sunny, bright, warm, and let's just keep it that way kasi pagdating ng hapon, it's hot. It is so hot. Anyway, I'm trying to cheer up everybody because El Nino and this summery weather in July can test our nerves and dehydrate us. So please try to stay cool. Anyway, today we are going to have a very interesting topic. We are going to be speaking with a toxicologist. Okay, toxicologist as in poisoning, etc. Especially the cases that happen at home. And I saw in the notes here, there's even such a thing as pediatric poisoning. So, mag-ingat po tayo, but we will discuss that this morning with our guest. But before that, let's go to our daily starter from one of our previous guests here on Agenda, from Dr. Bernadette Babes Arsenas. And she said during our program, what the mind thinks. Let's flash it there. What the mind thinks, the body feels. Okay. What the mind thinks, the body feels. Now, many people say, pakiramdam ko ganito. I feel feverish. I feel lethargic. I feel. But actually, you think. Kasi yung feeling ko minsan iba yung feeling, iba yung iniisip. But bear this in mind, what the mind thinks, the body feels. It reminds me of an interview made by the veteran actor-director Clint Eastwood, who was asked, how do you manage to stay active, productive, when you're already past 80 years old? And in his classic Clint Eastwood manner, he said, I simply don't let the old man in. Okay, kumbaga, hindi niya pinapayagang makapasok sa isip niya yung isip ng matandang over 80 years old. So what the mind thinks, the body feels. Okay, let's now take a look at the front page of the Philippine Star, July 6, 2023, and the headline, DOT likely to keep Love the Philippines despite tourism video fiasco. Okay, it looks like the Love the Philippines will be staying a while at the Department of Tourism as the Department of Tourism continues to promote the logo and slogan of its new tourism campaign despite the backlash that the DOT is suffering due to a blunder in a promotional video. Okay. According to the story, in her speech at the Philippine International Convention Center or PICC in Pasay City, Secretary Frasco mentioned the new slogan at least 4 times and the word love at least 12 times. Kumbaga, nilulublub tayo sa love. Okay. At the top of the front page, finally, too late the hero, DOTR MIAA asks local carriers to reduce their flights. Okay, Department of Transportation and Manila International Airport Authority have requested local airlines to reduce their flights. Sabi naman ng mga airlines, matagal na po namin ginagawa yan kasi una't una, yung isa, wala na silang eroplano, kokonti na lang eroplano, yung pangatlo, yung isa naman, matagal nang nagbawas ng flights kasi masakit sa ulo, and the last one, the third player, talagang wala silang aeroplano. Okay, just being funny here, but apparently, too late the hero because the airlines had already been forced to reduce flights. Okay, it's final. Philippine-China-Vietnam exploration deal unconstitutional. It's final. The 18-year-old joint oil and gas exploration deal of the Philippines with China and Vietnam has been voided by the Supreme Court as unconstitutional. Okay, the decision was handed down with finality yesterday in a decision written by Associate Justice Samuel Gerlan. The SC denied with finality the motion for reconsideration filed by the government to overturn the decision that was previously made. Okay, so kung magano, wala nang reconsideration. Center photo of the Philippine Star, people shielding themselves from the sun as they visit the Dolomite Beach along Rizal Boulevard in Manila yesterday. However, below that, or the bottom part of the newspaper, you have a photo that shows Ipo Dam in Norzagaray, Bulacan, which is located 7.5 kilometers downstream from Angat Dam. The Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration has said the water level of Angat is nearing critical level amid the El Nino phenomenon. Magtipid na po sa tubig. Okay. On the left side of the front page, DepEd, learning camp not mandatory. Students will not be required to take part in the National Learning Camp or NLC program that the DepEd will pilot with grades 7 and 8 students starting this month. In a department order released yesterday, Vice President and Education Secretary Sara Duterte said the NLC is a voluntary learning recovery program that will be offered every end of the school year. Okay, yan na po. Meanwhile, inflation eases to 5.4% in June. Bumaba ng konting-konti. Sana yung pera nyo mas maraming mabili. Okay. Congress sends Maharlika Bill to Malacanang. The measure creating the controversial Maharlika Investment Fund, a pet bill of the administration, has been transmitted to Malacanang for President Marcos' signature. Okay. Meanwhile, at the bottom of the front page to the left, President Marcos is shown with Department of Agriculture Senior Undersecretary Domingo Panganiban, Senator Cynthia Villar, and other officials attending the Livestock and Aquaculture Philippines 2023 at the World Trade Center yesterday. Mabisita nga yan at tingnan natin kung may pinagbago. Last but not the least, short video platform TikTok yesterday confirmed that it has taken down the account of religious leader Apollo Kibuloy, who is now on the most wanted list of the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation over sex trafficking charges. We have banned Pastor Apollo Kibuloy's account in accordance with our community guidelines, TikTok said in an official statement sent to the Star. Okay, so there you go. That's all the news that we have on the front page, but I do encourage all of you, request all of you, please go and buy your own copy or subscribe for a physical copy to be delivered to you weekly, monthly, or subscribe online for the e-copy, okay? At mababasa nyo po yung mga iba-ibang balita as well as my 3 times a week column, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, entitled C-Talk. Okay, now let's go to our topic for today, brought to you by the Rizal Medical Center, who actually mentioned to me, I was there last week, and someone mentioned to me, and I was told, Kuya, it's Poison Week. Nako, magkakaalasunan. Okay, let's roll out the intro video. Our associate, Mr. Roy Abraham, please bring out the Betamax.
The Philippines recently observed the National Poison Prevention Week, which aims to raise awareness on the risks of poison-related incidents. This is important as cases of poison-related incidents are increasing. In Rizal Medical Center, the number of poison-related incidents jumped to 120 cases in 2022. RMC listed pharmaceuticals, household cleaning products, and pesticides as the top agents of poisoning. With poisoning incidents most likely taking place at home, how can we better protect our households? Let's discuss this on today's agenda.
Dr. Tisha Ysabel Torres-Briola is the head of Rizal Medical Center Toxicology Center. She also serves as the clinical toxicologist at the hospital's pediatrics department. Aside from this, Dr. Torres-Briola is a visiting lecturer at the National Poison Management and Control Center.
Good morning, Dr. Briola. I do hope that you're there. Okay, she's just working. Okay, there we go. You worked out our digital background. Thank you for using it. Dr. Tisha, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Sir Cito. Good morning.
Okay, Dr. Tisha, poisoning is not something that is a popular topic. It is not a very common subject matter. May we know how much poisoning actually occurs and how they are reported in your clinical findings when they reach hospitals like the Rizal Medical Center?
It is not part of the top 10 reportable. It is part of the top reportable diseases or conditions in the DOH. Unfortunately, there are a few incidents where it is being reported. It happens to be reported just like when there are mass incidents, mass casualty incidents. But every day, actually, since we're a referral center, we see patients, both adults and children, who have been either accidentally or have intentionally poisoned themselves due to suicide or especially as your slides showed earlier, there's an increase of self-inflicted poisoning, form suicide, since the start of the pandemic.
Okay, so hindi siya rare as we would like to imagine. And Doc Tisha, relax lang, kwentuhan lang tayo. Medyo baka nako-conscious ka or medyo ninenervous ang konti. But, kasi, poisoning is a serious matter, but most people don't know. Okay, so you said often what gets people's attention is when someone attempts a suicide.
Yes.
Chemically assisted self-termination, or meron naman yung mga accidental poisoning, they were in a party or working in a facility and there was a leak or some poisonous matter got into the food or into the water. But yung sinabi mong regular, you see this regularly, and sa mga bata, medyo when I saw you're part of the pediatric department. You're the clinical toxicologist at RMC's Department of Pediatric. Mga bata, ba't nalalason ba pati bata or madalas malason mga bata dahil ang kukulit?
Yes, actually there are two peaks. So the first peak in childhood poisoning happens during toddler stage. When they're curious, their way of exploring the world is through their hands and mouth. So whatever they touch, they put in their mouth or whatever orifice, nose or ears. So yeah, just like in your slide. And then those are accidentals. So if they're because of their curiosity. The other peak is during adolescence. So yung mga teens, one, they seek attention. And then they're emotionally and not yet matured. So it's their way of getting attention from their parents, from their friends, and it's their escape if they cannot express. They feel that they are depressed or they don't have anybody to talk.
Okay. So among the cases reported, which is number one? Children ingesting poisonous material, or is it attempted suicide, or is it accidental poisoning, industrial or residential?
So in our institution, most are intentional suicide, teens and adults. But in other centers, there are a lot of accidental poisonings due to snake bites in the provinces. Rizal Med is only one out of the 14 poison control centers all over the country. So our experience may not be the same nationwide. But in general, the top three are pharmaceutical agents using whatever drugs, paracetamol, their maintenance medications, or maintenance medications of adults. That's the usual ones that the teens and the toddlers take because it is readily available in their houses.
Okay,
If you want
go ahead.
So mass casualty, if you may, incidents are the ones, if you recall the Lambanog incident in 2019, there are a lot of those who got poisoned. Some of about 80 plus were brought here to our institution. And then currently there is actually chronic poisoning that is happening in the areas around Al Volcano. There are the deep wells have there's some monitoring being done by the Batangas Poison Control Center. They're monitoring the water supply around the volcano area. So for arsenic, also in Pampanga, there are a lot of from the Mount Pinatubo. So basically, poisoning happens if someone is hurt by a substance. In layman's terms, I taught children what is a poison. A poison is basically any substance that can harm you if it is used by the wrong person, used in the wrong way, or used in the wrong amount. So basically, call a toxicologist. Some would say a toxicologist is paranoid, because everything that we are exposed to, if it's in the wrong amount, it is you're being already poisoned by it.
Okay, I do watch a lot of programs on TV, and when it comes to toxicology, talo mo pa yung talo mo pa yung manghuhula because you have to practically test everything. You have to test a hair sample, nail sample, blood sample, urine sample, organ sample, etc. How did you ever get into toxicology or the art of determining poisoning?
But I was really inquisitive. Mahilig ako magtanong. I like to investigate. And then, I watch crime shows and toxicology basically is a melting pot of all the basic medical sciences, plus the other science parts like chemistry, even physics, and forensics. So in general, when we see a patient, it is not just the patient that we're dealing with. We have to sort of ask what happened to the patient, the surroundings, the sort of crime scene, if you will, especially for children, since they cannot express themselves. So you do not know what the toddlers. We don't know what what they're exposed to. They just come to you crying, and then we ask, and then the parents will be asked, what are the medications around the house? Are there any chemicals missing? And then we correlate that with the presentation of the patient. So what are the signs and symptoms of the patient? And then we confirm that to the testing through lab tests and other diagnostics.
What are the signs of poisoning? Because most Filipinos say, no, may LBM lang yan. Oh, may nakain lang masama yan. Yung pala, nalason na. What are the clear signs or the first signs of poisoning? Because we have a saying here in my house, if you smell a rat, there's a rat. And our idea is if you suspect of or think of something, you better act on it right away because you don't want to wait for things to get serious. So what are the usual signs of poisoning?
For acute poisoning, that's easier to note because one, if it happens in the house, there's a spill or there's a chemical that is like a cleaning product. If there's a spill or child or a teen or an adult comes to you smelling of bleach, if hindi naman siya naglinis, di ba? So, and then or there's a incident that the person is well and then suddenly gets into comatose. So loses consciousness, or there's sometimes teens and adults leave their suicide note. So those are the signs.
Bakit ba lagi kang pumupunta sa suicide? I'm sorry.
Yes,
I shouldn't be laughing. I shouldn't be smiling. But maybe I'm just in denial. In denial ako siguro, parang I don't want to think, but is it really the case? Sobrang daming nagsusuicide through poisoning?
yes. Actually, in an informal survey of the 14 poison control centers in the Philippines, for 2022, there were about 6,000 reported in the poisoning incidents, patients. About 40% only were accidental. So 60% were intentional. Meaning,
so if there were a total of 6,000 poisoning incidents, 4,000 of them were attempted suicides.
yes, tempted because we tried to save them as much as medically possible. There are mortalities, but once they are brought to the centers, we do our best to keep them alive. So
Okay.
it's not really suicide, it's para-suicide. But it has been seen even during and after post-COVID era, now that we are in, since mental health is an issue that almost coincides or is that we should deal with. Poisoning is one of their one of their
Options.
solutions. Yeah, options.
Okay, so going back first to the home-based thing, kasi kanina napangiti ako when you said that one of the causes indicators are people who accidentally poison themselves because of cleaning materials, fluids, chemicals. And my wife, unfortunately, was a victim of that. Sobrang sipag, gumamit ng bleach, nilinis yung buong banyo, and after enclosed in the bathroom, and ended up in the hospital for 3 days. So that was not fun for any of us, and we didn't realize, back then that those things do occur until you go through them. What are the other causes or incidents of poisoning at home? Your cleaning fluids, yung bang mga LPG, mga gas leaks, ganon. Have you ever encountered such a case?
LPG, no. Personally, not yet, because the smell that LPG per se does not have any scent. They put additional chemicals on it so that you will know that there's a leak.
Okay.
So the tendency of the person is not to go there if they smell that leaks, according that smell. So basically, it's the same as your pesticides, your household anti-mosquito, anti-cockroach. They have additional scent that you will know that there is the room is just recently sprayed on. So you will not go there.
Very interesting, because I don't like buying insecticide sprays that have smell. In fact, many people say that, ayoko niyan kasi may amoy yan ba, para kang nasa factory ng pabango, etc. Yung pala, that is intentional, so that you know that the room has just been sprayed with insecticide, which poisonous.
Yeah, so that's actually hazardous to as people with asthma. You cannot go inside the room if it's still smelling pesticide. It is not an air freshener.
Okay, okay.
For I think one of the manufacturers of the bug spray placed a floral scent. So amoy air freshener na siya. I think the FDA had the policy of removing that in the market. So better to have the scented or the bad smelling one, so that you'll know when is the safe time you can go inside the room.
Okay, when a situation happens where you believe a person has been poisoned, they are taken to Rizal Medical Center. What are they supposed to keep in mind, bring with them, etc., etc.? Kasi I remember in my younger years, sinasabi nila, pag natuka ka ng ahas, subukan mo hulihin at dalhin yung ahas para they know whether it's poisonous or not. But in chemical, it's only usually chemical poisoning we're talking about here, right?
For Rizal Med, we don't have snake bite incidents, but in the provinces, I think it's their number 2. In Pampanga, EVRMC, in Cloban, and in Mindanao. It's their number 2 source of poison and envenomation. So, but here, It's true. We still bring the snake since it's the culprit. But before it's dead. And then for here, we actually asked them to bring or at least take a picture of the empty packets of medicines, the bottle of the chemical. Unfortunately, we Filipinos have the uh, the habit of nagsasalin or putting non there were
Refill.
yes sir that's the term I was looking for.
Nagre-refill tayo,
It,
nililipat yung mga debote or naka-sachet, nililipat sa ibang lalagyan.
yes, and that is where not just accidental poisoning in children but also adults.
Okay.
It happen.
Okay,
If
we'll go for a quick break, Dr. Tisha, and when we come back, let's go through all of this one by one, because ladies and gentlemen, what Dr. Tisha is saying does happen. Merong mga naglilipat ng kung ano-anong chemical, nilalagay pa sa rep, ayun, patay yung kasama sa bahay. Let's go for a quick break. We'll be right back here on Agenda.
A lot of poisoning accidents happen at home, from the kitchen, to the bathroom, to the garden and the garage, even one's own bedroom. These are places usually filled with substances that may be poisonous, so it's crucial to adopt simple ways of prevention. For one, experts are calling on the use of medicine droppers or appropriate measuring devices when giving medicines to babies and children, so chances of overdose will be eliminated. Medical experts also advise the public to avoid recycling drinking bottles for storing other liquids or chemicals. What are other practical ways to protect your household? That is another topic for today's agenda.
Okay, joining us this morning, still with us, is Dr. Tisha Ysabel Torres-Briola. She is the head of the Toxicology Center, Rizal Medical Center. Dr. Tisha, let's continue our conversation. You were sharing that one of the reasons, I'll review it. Okay, rewind. One is we either inhale or ingest poisonous material, number one. Others, 60% of reported cases are actually intentional poisoning to get attention or as a form of suicide. And now accidental poisoning, children ingesting chemicals or medicines not intended for them. And the last one you said was people transferring chemicals into containers and storing them in areas where they are mistaken by others to be safe or water, etc., and end up poisoning themselves. So, what other forms of or in what other ways do people get poisoned?
For children, they learn through modeling. So they follow what the adults are doing. So in especially younger children, 4, 6 years old and below, they follow what their adults are doing. So if they see the adult drinking their medications, they might think, oh, pwede kay mommy. So inumin ko na rin siya. And then,
Ayun.
or they see their parents drinking a lot of liquor. So they get drunk. So the tendency, alcohol is available at home, no one is supervising, so I'll just drink it. If I have a problem, I'll drink it more. Kasi ginagawa naman ng tatay ko eh. So why not me?
Mhm.
So aside from being a good role model to your children, I think it's about time that we talk about mental health at home.
Okay, so clearly there is a challenge, or there is a responsibility of proper storage, making sure that young adults, children don't have access to chemicals and medication and products that they shouldn't be ingesting. Now, what are the first aids, Doc Tisha, regarding poisoning? And okay, so nagsuka, nakita mo na, ay nako, may nainom yung bata, or the child ingested. Is there a first aid, or should you simply just bring the child or the person to the hospital?
Right. First thing is do not panic. That is the first thing that's the natural reaction of a person. So do not panic. Assess what is happening. If the patient is already vomiting, let the patient, the child or the adult, vomit, because it's their way of decontaminating themselves. But if the patient hasn't vomited yet, do not give anything to make them vomit. Do not make them gag. Yung dudukutin po yung daliri sa tongue, or give sugar, or give anything, oil. I think some would give also olive oil.
Yeah.
So that those are actually dangerous, because the patient might keep. So when they are given so much sugar, they vomit. The sugar might also go back to their lungs. So ma-aspirate siya. That's another problem that we have to deal with. So baka naman in the first place, the thing or that the person is exposed to is not really poisonous. Just like one common substance is the silica gel, the desiccant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is actually inert. So it's not poisonous. It will just absorb the moisture or water. But we had patients before who were given a lot of sugar, a lot of oil, just to make them vomit. So the oil went to his lungs, causing pneumonia, which dapat hindi naman nangyari in the first place. So after you have saw or analyze or assess the situation that the patient has already been poisoned, if the patient has vomited and there are vomitus all over the clothes, remove clothing and then quick bath, and then call the poison center nearest you. Or you can bring them to the nearest hospital and they will call the poison centers there.
Okay.
Do not manage it at home.
What did you say, Doc?
Do not, as much as possible, do not manage it at home. Because even if you call the poison center, unless there is a doctor or at home, the poison center will also tell you to go to the nearest health facility so that they can be assessed properly.
Okay. Now, what is the average age? I mean, what's the age of the youngest patient in the toxicology center?
Newborn.
Huh?
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, the baby was exposed to methamphetamine in utero, meaning while the mom was pregnant, she was still taking in drugs,
Shabu.
methamphetamine, shabu. Yeah.
And what happened?
The patient was eventually sent home, but we don't know what happened to um, him. Hindi pa namin siya na-monitor actually kasi pwedeng there are already congenital anomalies or there are defects in his IQ that will only come out when he's already old. But after birth, we separated the baby from the mom. Kasi dapat nga, di ba, kasama na nila through breastfeeding. So, we did not give the breast milk from the mom. We gave milk from the milk bank and then just hydrated the patient until the methamphetamine was urinated out by the baby.
Yeah, but the same can be said for women or mothers who are alcoholics or who drink or ingest all sorts of, or who smoke.
Yeah. So their effects are not acute; they're chronic. So we have to monitor them over time. That's why, as pediatricians, we also ask, if the mother is just like infectious diseases. We ask before we touch the baby during delivery. We ask the mom if she got sick of something else or was exposed to drugs or alcohol, so that you can anticipate what potential chronic effects would be seen in the baby.
We always think poison as something that, it's a chemical, it's deadly, etc. But is there such a form of poisoning where, because we do have blood poisoning, as they say, yung parang sepsis ba ang tawag nyo doon. But there is I've heard of instances where people say, nalason, saan, ano nakalason? Yung gamot niya. Kakainom nung gamot niya or something. Is there such a thing, Dr. Shah?
See, if we'll be technical about it. All medications have side effects.
Mm-hmm.
So, so that's why your doctor who prescribes you the medications must advise you what to watch out for, especially kung maintenance medication siya. Most of our drugs are metabolized in our liver or our kidneys. So, throughout time, if you're maintained on those medications, you have to monitor. The doctor will ask you for a blood test to see if you have your kidneys or your liver has already reached the point that I think you should shift to another medication.
Mm-hmm.
So, is it poisoning? If you follow the layman term of poisoning, yes, it is,
Mm-hmm.
because it can cause harm. But is it intentional? We don't know. Because
we are in that time and age where there are a lot of medicines. Well, not even medicines. What do you call?
They call it polypharmacy.
Yeah.
Especially when you have when you reach older ages, you have a lot.
Aray. Bubusina ka naman. Older ages ka dyan eh. Okay, but no, because there are herbal medicines, there are nutritional drugs, they call it, etc. And there have been incidents where what is supposed to be natural, herbal, etc. had toxicity.
Yes. Because just like the Western medications, if you may say, those produced by the big pharmaceutical companies, herbal medicines, also have their own side effects. So
Mhm.
if you buy them, there's also um, a flyer inside their packages that says not for therapeutic use.
Mhm.
And it also says that it should not be taken with other medications because the drugs might also interact with each other, even though they're labeled as herbal, not all natural.
Have you seen cases like that where, two doctors prescribe two different medicines and yung pala merong contraindication or they resulted in something poisonous?
Um, Acutely, not much because here we have there are two of us who are toxicologists here. I'm the one who deals with the pediatric age group. Dr. Villamanga is the internal medicine specialist who happens also to be a toxicologist. So he might have seen more of those than me because polypharmacy happens with adults compared to children. It's rare that we give medications actually or supplements to children.
Mm.
So for that question, I don't have a definite answer. But theoretically, um, we were taught in med school the first do no harm. So part
Yeah.
of that is evaluating what medications or drugs you prescribe to your patient. So you have to review. Sometimes the patient do not or oftentimes they don't disclose that they are taking supplements
Mhm.
that
Okay.
might interfere with their drugs. So doon nagkakaroon po ng problema. So it is advised that lahat ng iniinom. So kami, for if an adult patient comes to us and for the poison in the center, we ask them, ano po lahat ng iniinom nyo sa bahay? So that we will know if it's because of the actual overdose of one drug or it's an interaction with all the other drugs that he has been taken
Okay.
for quite some time.
Okay. Dr. Shah, last question. What are the things people should not keep at home? Kasi ako, I will not keep rat poison in the house. I don't know. What are the things that people shouldn't keep in the house?
One, illegal drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Industrial grade chemicals. Like when you're working, like actually it will be difficult, especially if you are in the province and you have a farm.
Mm-hmm.
So you have agricultural grade pesticides. Those should not be kept in the house.
Okay.
Should be kept somewhere else.
Okay.
And then if a person or the adults or workers go back home, they should change their clothing before going in the house. Granting that they were wearing protective equipment,
Yeah.
PPE at work.
Yeah, because contact alone can be poisonous, can be dangerous. Because, ladies and gentlemen, that last word from Doc Tisha is very important. I learned too late in life the value of wearing a face mask in a poultry area. And or when you're working in a workshop where there's a lot of dust flying, etc., or chemicals being sprayed, you have to have face mask. And as Doc Tisha said, you have to wear protective clothing when dealing with industrial grade or agriculture grade chemicals and products. and etc. So I think we covered it all, Doc Tisha, and I'm sorry I was living in denial kasi parang suicide is such a difficult subject matter, but as it turns out, 60% of poisoning cases are suicide. So we hope this informs the public, and thank you for your time, Doc Tisha.
Can I add a
Yeah.
little? The statistics that I cited were only those who were reported or patients seen at the poison control centers. So it might not reflect the actual number of poisoning that is happening all over the country. Okay, but it is not a small number to deny. It
Okay.
should be addressed.
And
I
we
think-
should all be conscious about poison control.
I think your next guest should be our psychiatrist. Because
Okay.
we all tandem. All our patients, intentional ingestions, before they are sent home, that is part actually of the management of a poison patient. We refer them to the psychiatrist before they are sent home.
Okay,
So-
we'll have to leave it. We'll have to leave it at that, Dr. Tisha. We've run out of time, but thank you very much, and I wish you a good morning. God bless you, and thank you to Rizal Medical Center for bringing attention to poison control. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Okay, let's now go to the blessing of the week, which comes from the second book of Corinthians, chapter 9, verse 10, and it is a promise of the Lord. Now he who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food will supply and multiply your seed for sowing and increase the harvest of your righteousness. God bless all of you. Thank you for joining us, and please include us in your prayer team agenda and keep it here on One News.